Like this tree, if you look at it this angle, it's really doing this and doing that like a dancing girl, you know, or dancing man for that matter. Okay, I'm Milton Chang of Bonsai Heirloom. Today we will have to talk about 5 simple steps to make a nice juniper bonsai. And basically, the step number 1 is to go and buy a nursery tree or take a cutting and plant it in the ground. That's what I did. This tree is only in the ground for about 10 years, maybe 12, maybe at most. And so you buy a tree, you plant it in the ground or plant it in an oversized nursery pot and let it grow and to some size, and then you cut it down, which is the demonstration I'll do today. And then this is the tree after I cut it down, a tree that I did about, I would say not quite 6 months ago. And you can see it's already starting to form the paths. You can beginning to see the shape. And then this tree is basically something close to this. I would say about 8 years later. Now I have to admit my method, because I'm impatient, I don't wire my tree. And if I wire my tree, this tree would look a lot more fuller if I wire it. I think in even 3 years, it will look that full. But I prefer to just pinch it and cut back drastically to reshape. But I should quit doing that, but start to using a little bit more wiring. So basic step is to get a tree, let it grow, prune it drastically to shape, and then let it grow back some, and then gradually refine the paths until it gets to a more closer displaceable tree. So let me study this tree. It looks like it's a nice upright. I basically stuck a stick, in a sense, like cutting into the ground, and that's how it grew naturally. It's got a lot of potential for me to cut. Again, the first step is to clean up the bottom to see the root system. You can see this is a weed that was growing, but that's nature. But when you are making bonsai, you want to remove them, root and all, so they don't come out again. And if they come out again, you remove it until they don't come out again. And also, the long fibrous roots is not going to be really very useful. You need the fibrous roots more than the tap roots or the long tap roots. And the way I see it is that, it's okay to remove them. You will slow down the growth. Anytime you remove roots, it will slow down the growth. But when you cut off the long roots like this, it will force fibrous roots closer to the pot where the bonsai is in a small pot. So, and that's what you need to keep the bonsai alive. So now you can see it's a very little tidy root ball, and I'm letting this remaining, and I can worry about it later. When I put it in a growing pot, roots will come out and make it easier to clean out later and put in the fine soil for my bonsai pot, and then put it in a bonsai pot, cutting off a little bit of the longer roots below, the roots that stick beyond. So you use a hook to clean the bottom, and you want to get it to where the trunk start to expand out the root, and that's where you want the bonsai to begin, to take advantage of the slightly thicker base as well, to have a kind of older looking tree. And like this, if I comb out, you can see the base, the soil is here, but the base is significantly wider than here, and that makes the tree look substantial. So I stop right here because you can see the spread is coming out is right about here. it's not going to go much wider beyond this point. So if I put it in a pot, growing pot at this level, a little bit lower, this soil would get exposed to show expansion of the root. And then when I put in the bonsai pot, it will look very nice, tapering out. So let me stand it up and start to work on the apex. So you always clean out the root, because if the rootage isn't right, there's nothing more you can do with time. And then the next thing you want to do is to decide on the design, begin with the apex. Every tree has a top, therefore you need an apex. So like this tree, the apex is not straight. One possibility is that I can use this one as the apex. So you can imagine the trunk comes up here, took a little jog and goes up again, and that's fine. And I think that is a good apex, except I don't want it to be that high, but there's some growth from down here. So if I cut it off, my tree will only be this tall, not this tall. So you want to keep the apex reasonably low if possible to start. Otherwise, you just have a tendency of have the apex get taller and taller until the tree is out of proportion. So you can see this little tip is going to become the apex. And in a year, this will be up here and with like this. And so you can then start designing that as well. And now I will cut off the bottom branches to essentially have the number one, number two branch spread out going down. And so I will study to find the thicker branches as I go to keep, and the thinner branches to go. So like this branch, it's one of the bigger branches nearby. So the first branch coming out is this one. And so I should probably keep it. So let me see how I can train this. So this branch is coming this way. That's not so good because it's going the wrong direction. Okay, so it has to be this one. So I have this one going up. Now I have this one going to the back. You see one going this way, one going this way, one going this way. So as you go down, the branches coming out alternate location. This one's coming up, it grows up this way, and then there's one branch going down. And then this one here is going to kind of off angle, but there's a smaller branch here. So I can, for example, make this into a chin. So later on I can break it off to make it look natural. So now you have a branch going this way, and then a big branch going down this way, which is fine because they will all eventually you can control it to grow to the right size. And I'm just cleaning off all the redundant branches that gets in the way of the design of the tree. And as I cut, I can see opportunities. Like I found this big branch going down, which will make it look very nice. And like this branch, you can see there's nothing here. And so I'm going to cut this off, make that into a little chin. I can do that easily anytime. And then this branch will grow thick to complement this one. So it all in due time. And I let this one to be the side branch as well, to form paths here and there. And I'll make this branch a dead branch, again, to create a little bit more chin, to give it a little bit more age look, rough nature look. This branch definitely doesn't look right because it's going up to clash with the chin, the apex, rather. And so I will make that into a chin to create some age look. So clean off the redundant branch to show off your design. Otherwise, everything's cluttered up. You can see, the real look of the tree Like they say, you want to make sure a bird can fly over the tree, which is a figuratively saying you need to expose the trunk. You see, the juices are flowing, so it's very easy to peel off the bark to make them look old. And if you don't do a good job now, it's no big deal. You can always use a tool to grind off the bark. So now that top is starting to took shape. And now you got this little interesting thing. In a way, you can say, let me make it into a double trunk. This branch in the bottom decided he wants to be the boss. He wants to move up. And so that gives a little difference in feature. Otherwise, every tree's got one single apex. So let's try that. I'm just cleaning up a lot of the redundant branches that I know I will never use. And actually, I'm beginning to think cut off less better instead of cutting out is to make them into a gin. Like, you don't want all of these things to gotta stick up to be distracting. So I would probably make this into a gin. I think this one would be nice to come down, so I would not make that into a gin, but encourage the side branches to shoot out. But this one is definitely redundant. So now you can see this tree will have one going like this. This one goes up, this one coming down. Maybe someday I will get rid of this. In fact, I saved this to protect this little branch, but this one will become the one that we'll use and make this into gin. And now I got this branch to look at. I have to be a little careful because that's like an apex. That's an important part of the design. And this branch is going alongside. Really, it's never going to be used, so I cut it off. I don't think it would be polite for the side one to get as tall as the, in the sense of the double trunk side one to be as tall as that one. So I think I should probably make this one go down, and I broke it already, but it will heal if I don't break it through altogether. I'm cleaning off the long branches that I will never use so I can see clearly where I'm going. So here's a scheme of things. Let me finish the rest of it. That's really going to be real quick. This is an interesting feature with this branch coming out, although this is not doing much, so let me cut this off. I never know what I get. I just let the tree grow wild, and then I use the principle of make lemonade when I have lemon, in a sense that make use whatever the tree decided to do a long time ago that grew into what it is today, and make the most of it into a design that would fit my imagination. Again, always develop a vision of what you want the tree to become, and then work on it to get there. Okay, looks like still quite messy down here, but it's going to be fairly quick. So you remove the redundant branch so you can see where you're going with it. Some branches you will never use because they're bare spots, bare branches too long that you will never get to use the design. I think this is an interesting branch. You can see this is a kind of an interesting branch. And the bottom one, there's really no reason to exist because that one is shading the light, so it would not have grown. So it died off. So you see, you try to use a little bit of reasoning of what the tree has encountered and make a design out of it. So you can see I can clean this up gradually. I don't need to take up your time. And actually, this is part of it is dead, so I can remove it very easily. So now you can see this tree is somewhat interesting. You want the tree to be free-flowing. Like this tree, if you look at it at this angle, it's really doing this and doing that like a dancing girl, you know, or dancing man for that matter. It's a really poetic when it leaves out. And I can further work on the branches to make it leaf out. Like look at this tree, it's almost a poetic, you know, the way it flows. And then you look at this tree. So I'm trying to A, follow nature so the trees are not contrived, and B, let it grow in its natural way. These are all natural growths, but I modify it slightly to my taste. You can see this tree is full of branches. Maybe this branch will go. In fact, I'll make this into a dead branch. And you can see it's quite full, a lot of branch coming down and going back. And it will be a nice tree. In fact, I will really make this branch dead. Some of it's already dead, so it's hard to remove the bark. Like here, it's impossible. And this part is easy. So you just peel it off as much as you can. And later on, when it's really dried out, you can use a electromechanical tool to clean it up. Yeah, a lot of it's already dead, so I can clean out the bark real easily. Like this part is, you see, it's already dead. So, but anyway, for example, here I see an opportunity. I could make this tree a little bit hovering. You know, in nature, it got blown over by the wind, and one of these starting to take over, and then these goes down. I think that would be a little bit more interesting than the formal upright. So that's in fact what I'll do. Look at that. That's a tree. So you basically take any tree that you dug up from the ground, that you after you plant it, let it grow wild for a while, and then make use of the existing branches to create the movements. And I think this tree, if I do a little wiring after the tree grown up a bit, for the next round of designing, I would try to do a little wiring, and you will see this tree has a lot of potential in terms of movement and all that. And so step number one. Step number two is the raw material. Step number three is to refine it, cut it back severely to shape so that when it grows out, it will give you the next design opportunity to get closer to your vision. But before you clip it, study the roots, make sure you comb it out to expose the top roots. And if there's any curling, you cut them off, try to spread them out, use a saw if necessary, and then work on the apex first, and then try to design, looks like I already broke off the apex. So this will in fact be the apex to give it a curve slant again. So that's the process. And then you put it in a good growing pot. I would not put in a bonsai pot. I just put in a bonsai pot to show you roughly the tree will ultimately look like. And then you put it, let it grow out a bit. You can see the path starting to form again. This tree, I was only working on it really around 6 months ago, growing from this to this. And then this one is actually 7 or 8 years later. But like I said, it can speed up significantly by using wiring to get it closer to a design stage. And I made a lot of mistakes. That's how I learned. So I didn't know bonsai from the start. I listened to the old timers, keep my trees dry, and that is patently the wrong advice. And so the bottom branch died off, but I used a dead branch as a design tool because I worked on them before, then they died off. And now I plant them in my soil mix, which I've been telling you, which is 1 part, 1 part, 1 part topsoil, peat moss, and perlite. And they seem to be thriving tremendously. And I fertilize them in the summertime every other week or every 2 weeks or every month using liquid fertilizer. So that's my whole story about how to turn a sapling, a nursery tree, a nursery plant, in a 1 gallon or 5 gallon pot. Let it grow, work on it. Through these 5 stages, you'll get your nice bonsai. So I think it's a very relaxing, rewarding hobby because I've created something valuable that I can pass on to my children, or they will remember me as my hobby. if nothing else. And again, I think bonsai is a great relaxing tool after a busy day's work, and I promise you, will not die on you if you implement it properly following our instruction. Well, thank you for watching. I hope you will click like and subscribe to our channel, and also tell a friend about our video, and go to our website. We've got a lot of information, so please stay tuned, and also tell a friend to spread the word about bonsai. We appreciate it. So hope to see you next week. Thank you.